My name is Adam Wine, and when I sent Melanie my first draft, she said, "This is great, but it's a little short," so I went ahead and added 10 minutes. So I hope y'all are My time here at Bellarmine has been one that I will always look back on with fondness. I came to BU first not as a student, but as an intern in the campus ministry office as part of my field education experience with Louisville Presbyterian Theological Seminary. For a year, I had the privilege of sharing life with college students whose commitment not only to their academics, but also to their spiritual formation was inspiring and life-giving. About this time in my graduate studies, a colleague of mine who was enrolled in the MDiv MAS dual degree program offered by LPTS and BU suggested I take a gander at the MAS program. Because my colleague knows of my love of Thomas Merton and for the greatest game on earth, baseball, she introduced me to a professor who is already tenured in my heart, Greg Hillis. We hit it off immediately, and it didn't take long for me to know the MAS program was the missing piece, not only to my educational experience, but also to my spiritual formation. Through the MAS program, I have studied the works of Origen and Athanasius and Bernard, contemplated God's love of Julian and Therese, dissected and explored Merton's poetry with Brother Paul Quinn in Merton's Hermitage, and my colleagues and I have cultivated our own spiritualities through engagement with Benedict's rule and Philip Sheldrake's call to public spiritual practices. As I was knee-deep in Reformed theology at the seminary, it was refreshing to have a space and to have colleagues to discuss how we might live out our own particular theologies. I will forever cherish those nights in the Merton Center discussing spirituality with those I now call friends. The MAS program has also provided some informal gatherings, such as the day when we all saw white smoke, which had been sliding across the hood of my truck like Bo and Luke do, so I could come to Bellarmine to sit in Dr. Hillis's office and with others in anticipation and celebration for the election of the first Jesuit Pope, Francis. This event only affirms what my seminary friends think. There's a Roman Catholic hidden deep inside me. More than any of these, the highlight of my time here came during this past winter, when many of us in the MAS program traveled to Kerala, India for 16 days to study spirituality and social justice. It was here where my MDiv and MAS worlds united in what I consider to be my own fourth and walnut moment. It happened on our last day on top of Mount St. Thomas. Having awoken at 5 a.m. to meet the heat for our hike up the mountain, a handful of us made our way up the pilgrimage site in the dark. Upon arriving to the top of the mountain, and after we took pictures of yet another relic of the saint who brought Christianity to India in AD 52, the Apostle Thomas, we gathered for worship one last time. At the spot where the tradition says Thomas drew a cross on the ground and it turned to gold, my favorite Franciscans, Father Leo and Father Tony, reminded us of our baptism and the new life we received in it as they led us in a hand-washing ritual. One by one, we went forward and water poured over our dusty and dry hands. While I do not remember the words they spoke, I do remember how refreshing the water felt, the way my heart grew strangely warm, and how the tiny hairs on my neck stood up. After 15 days of traveling, our ragtag group of Roman Catholics, Presbyterian, and Episcopalian were reminded of what united us as a community. We prayed prayers, broke bread, and drank from a common cup at Christ's Day on top of Mount St. Thomas in India. It goes without saying that my understanding of faith and spirituality was radically transformed. The surprising and continual reshaping of my faith is reflective of what I have learned and experienced, not only in the MAS program, but also as a member of Bellarmine University's community. It is an unexpected gift to be here today. Unintentionally, I made my way to Bellarmine with the thought I'd be here only a year. Yet here I am 3 years later, quite thankful for the lessons, friendships, and deepened spirituality that I have found in this place.